Pop! OS has been my top choice for Linux distros for quite some time. Now, it is 2024, Ubuntu released their LTS back in April, and I was hoping that Pop! OS would follow through. It would have been the normal thing to happen, but it didn't. Enough time passed that calling it 2404 became a stretch, but an alpha release did finally drop in August. And it was that ISO image that made me want to make a video about it, and this video is the video about why that video never came out. Welcome to Nick's Tricks. I am Nick, and this is it. How's it going, guys? A lot has happened since my last anything, and I thought I'd just make a quick video to get you up to speed and let you in on some of the revelations I've had along the way. This is footage of me playing Dark Souls 3 on Pop! OS. If you're familiar, you will immediately get the metaphor, so praise the sun and enjoy the video. If this is confusing, however, I assure you it is by design and in no part due to the lack of relevant videos documenting this process. Praise the sun nonetheless. It all started one random morning when I woke up determined to finally give in and jump on the hype train about the new Pop! OS. Using Ubuntu as its base, Pop! OS has always followed its LTS release schedule, but this time it was going to be different. The guys over at System 76 have been working on something far more ambitious of a project. We're talking about Pop! OS's own DE, codenamed Cosmic Desktop, which up until now was more or less just a pimped out GNOME, but it was being revamped, reinvented, and rewritten from the ground up in Rust. I'm a simple man. I see the promise of better performance, stability, and the aesthetic equivalent of some gourmet I click download ISO. The installation on VirtualBox went reasonably well, but for some reason or another, I decided that for my next trick I should turn my PC into an overpriced LED decoration, so I flashed the ISO to a USB drive and installed it on my May box. While waiting on the installation, I was reading excitedly through the website to set my expectations right. It was the first alpha release after all. Some things would work while others wouldn't, some would be broken and others completely missing, but such is the circle of software development. It was over. I logged in and it was glorious. For the next hour or so, I enjoyed a clean installation of Pop! OS 24, taking notes as I went and exploring all of what the new Cosmic DE had to offer. However, in the end I concluded that being forced into using Wayland over Axe 11 and the lack of GNOME extensions was not going to work for me. It's a cool project and all, but it seems a bit too early for a fair review. You can imagine my surprise, however, when I wanted to reboot into my old installation of Pop! OS 2204 and I ended up back on the 24 alpha. Disasters don't just happen. They're a chain of critical events. What followed can only be described as a legendary challenge of my patience and self-esteem. My main drive hasn't seen a proper cleanup in years. It had multiple ESPs, multiple different bootloaders, and orphaned EFI entries everywhere. After a couple of failed attempts at it, I made what I now believe to be the best decision I made all year. I backed up everything that wasn't already and formatted the whole drive, only this time, there wasn't going to be a partition for Windows. Yeah, that's right, I said it. I've been dual booting with it for 10 years. Known it for even longer. We grew up together, had some good times, but that was it. Was it a good OS? No. But lately? No. In a way, it's sad, but it had to go. I mean, on top of everything else, have you seen Windows Recall? Anyway, more room for Linux. Look, wish I could express how big this is for me. For the first time in a very long time, I feel liberated. When my computer starts, I see a login screen with three options: personal, work, and YouTube. My personal account is for entertainment and gaming, separate from my work account, which has only developer tools and utilities, which is separate from my YouTube account, which has recording and media creation tools. All in one, but with clear delimitations, healthy access controls, and a solid backup plan. You would think it ends there. I know I did. But just as I was getting everything in its place and setting it up just the way I like it, it dawned upon me that this is a dead end. I will keep an eye out on Cosmic's development, but it is not very likely to be my next go-to when the time comes. I'm not big on rolling releases in general, but when even Debian's bringing in more fresh stuff than Pop! OS is, I start to weigh my options. Because I missed Grub so much, I ended up clearing some room on my poor old drive for a new partition. Over what felt like an entire month, I've tried some of the distros I've been meaning to check out. I wanted something stable, but not stale. Not quite bleeding edge either, but also not too finicky. I wanted to be able to easily install the latest NVIDIA and CUDA drivers so DaVinci and gaming wouldn't be a hassle. In terms of desktop environment, I decided on GNOME since I was already familiar with it. I've been keeping up with what people have been doing over at Guadec all these years while I was stuck with GNOME 42, which was still a big step up from 338. I couldn't wait to get my hands on some newer version, probably 46 on a point release distro since GNOME 47 had just been released at the time. I started with Manjaro because something about it just always seemed tasteful to me. After a week with it, I became paranoid. Everything just worked out of the box for me. That would be all of my one too many different types of peripherals I'm using and a broad range of software from 2D and 3D graphics and image/audio/video processing to virtualization and fully fledged development environments running games for all major platforms with no noticeable hit to performance or quality. I heard Manjaro had a weird reputation, but until I encountered the Arch community, I wasn't exactly sure why. As much as I heart Manjaro, I had to entertain the thought that I would probably be better off with Arch. I did use Arch in the past, by the way. Installing it again felt rewarding, but it didn't take long to remember why it cannot be my daily driver. So I moved on to the polar opposite distro, Debian 12, codenamed Bookworm. Everything about it felt standard, or maybe it was just the contrast. Either way, at that point, I was missing on the quality of life improvements I've seen in newer versions of GNOME, and I didn't want to force an upgrade. I had seen Ubuntu in passing and dismissed it quickly, so I was almost out of mainstream distros. Moving away from the canonical universe, I remembered Red Hat and tried Fedora Workstation 40. For a while, it seemed like something I could get used to, but eventually I did run into some package issues, and while they were easily fixed, they felt like unnecessary extra steps. Same thing with installing the NVIDIA drivers. The release notes for the Fedora 41 beta sounded good, but by then I'd kind of had enough and decided to wrap it up. It may seem like this little maneuver cost me a lot of time, which it did, but it was well worth it. I'm back on Pop! OS 22 after coming full circle like the Alchemist, and it has never felt better. These days I'm working on some provisioning scripts for my setup and exploring solutions for managing .dot files better. I want to keep things simple and efficient, and as soon as I get all my bearings, I will want to show you how I set up everything. There are a few good topics to cover, and it's going to be fun to share and talk about. Now, to address the elephant in the room. You see, there are two wolves inside of me. One that makes videos but doesn't have the time for it, and one that has the time but doesn't make videos. And they have both been really hard at work for the past year or so. Jokes aside, yes, I have been unavailable, and this is the first video I'm making in a long time. I only wish I had communicated this as soon as it became obvious to me. I want to extend a heartfelt apology to so many of you who had been following this channel. Thank you so much for the comments, and thank you for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.